bridge to everything you want and need. And Kristen will help you dig deep into your heart today. She is an energy master expert, a best-selling author who speaks to groups around the United States, including Boston Scientific, Rodan, Fields, and the Timberwolves, General Mills, and many others. Kristen has given tips on CBS, Fox, CNN, ABC. She gets around. And more, including a TV appearance where she ended up, you ready for this? She ended up in bed with the Pro Football Hall of Famer with 3.5 million viewers watching. But guess what they were doing? Swapping stories with a senator on his radio show and teaching a Minnesota Viking to play Twister on live TV. So, all right, Kristen says her biggest faults are she's occasionally a know-it-all, frequent wine-o, and not the H is missing, so I don't know what that's about, just drinking wine, wine-o, and what she calls a lazy workaholic. Her favorite things, movies, summer, that's mine too, bacon, yoga, boating, naps, her black lab, and most of all, her daughter, Brooke. So please help me welcome back Kristen Brown.
Thank you, Ella. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you? Okay, well that's pretty good, descriptive words. But when people ask, how are you? How really are you when they ask? Because usually we say fine, good, great. A few of you said awesome, but rarely do you step back and say, how am I really? How am I really? If you're in a good place, you might say good or great. If you're in a rough spot, you usually don't say, oh, I'm super crappy right now. You say fine. That's like the disclaimer for, I'm not great, but I'm just going to say fine. And when you ask someone, how are you ready to receive what they say? Are you ready to go deep if they are like, I'm having a really awful day, can you help me? Or to let them be vulnerable, or to let them talk to you about what's in their heart. So when someone says, how are you? It's a two-way street of you being willing to give and you being willing to receive with your heart. So right now, we're going to do just a quick little exercise where you're going to dig in to how you are right now. How are you right now? So close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath through your nose, out through your mouth. I want you to envision a white light coming through the top of your head, down through your brain, down through your throat, down into your heart. And that white light explodes into a whole bunch of green, sparkly lights that flood your heart space. And that light is illuminating how you are right now. Not fine, not good, but how really are you? So I'm going to give you a moment of silence to really dig deep and be honest with yourself, whether it's a positive feeling or a rough feeling. How are you? People are already starting to squirm, which means you're probably getting a little bit uncomfortable because you have to get a little vulnerable, even in your own head, to ask yourself how you really are. So I'm going to give you another moment of silence to keep feeling, keep acknowledging how you are right now. when you start to get uncomfortable that you get to the meat. It's when you get to the juice. It's when you get to your true heart. And when you start to feel that and acknowledge that, that's when you can start to really figure out, what do I need to let go of in order to release those chains, those cords that are pulling at me? And what do I need to welcome in so that my heart truly feels that joy, that excitement, that happiness, that engagement with life that you really want? So today what we're going to do is we're going to think about how your heart truly is the bridge to everything that you want, to everything that you need. And it's also the bridge that sometimes needs to be burned in order to create that life that you envision for yourself. So open your eyes back up, put your hands over your heart, pretend you're giving it a little hug, you're giving yourself and your heart a little hug, and say, oh, we're going to take care of you today. And say it out loud, we're going to take care of you today. And guess what? Tomorrow's Valentine's Day, right? Which is, whether you love or hate Valentine's Day, that's tomorrow. But today is a day for you. It's a day to love you. And that's what we're going to do for the next X number of minutes. Okay, so take another breath. Kind of get into the moment. Get where you're at in your chair. Feel your butt on the seat. I asked you how you are. And some of you maybe had great positive feelings. Maybe some of you are worn out and you're in a rough spot. But wherever you're at, it's been a roller coaster getting to this moment, hasn't it? Not just the last couple years with the pandemic, but the last X number of years of however old you are. We have things that have happened to us from childhood before we even remembered it. Past lives, if you're into that. We have things that happened to us in our early childhood years that we have carried with us. Things in our early adult years, relationships, money stuff, job stuff that we carry with us in our hearts all the time. And sometimes we think we may have dealt with those things, that they are down here at the bottom of our priority list because we've taken care of them, we've processed them. And then something, boom, triggers you, and there you are, right back in that feeling again. Now, I'm no stranger to this. So every time I'm at Target buying toothpaste, which is, every couple months, I don't know, I usually stock up on the bulk pack. But every time I'm there and I'm getting my toothpaste, if anyone walks down that aisle and I hear the click, click, click of men's dress shoes, I'm immediately transported back to the downtown Target, where I used to meet my late husband for lunch every day. We both worked downtown. I was working in the retail vendor space, traveling all over the world. He was working in banking. We had a 10-month-old baby. And unexpectedly, he died of a heart attack in his sleep at the age of 30. Yeah, it's been 14 years since that happened. So I can talk about it now without being a complete wussy ball of tears. But at the time, you can imagine, it ripped out not just my heart for missing him, but my 60-year plan for my life. I mean, you think, what do you want for your future? You have a plan. That was, boom, wiped out in a moment. And he was a tall, skinny college athlete from Gustavus. He had just been given a clean bill of health at a recent physical. He had no birth defects. It was what they call a widowmaker. The left ascending artery got blocked and he died in his sleep the morning after my sister's wedding in a hotel room. So, yeah, gross, right? That's like a totally heart-wrenching story. But every time I'm at Target looking at toothpaste, even though I think I've processed it because it's been 14 years, click, 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 click of men's dress shoes, and I'm in tears in the toothpaste aisle at Target. People are like, what the hell? And my daughter will be like, Jesus, Mom, get it together, And I do quickly bounce back, and I feel it for a moment, and then I smile and remember how awesome those lunches were that we would meet for 3-4 times a week downtown Minneapolis, meeting in the Target aisle at Target toothpaste. Anyway, so we can get triggered. All the way events from childhood, things you don't even remember can trigger you, things that take you on a roller coaster sometimes. And on that roller coaster, how can you pull yourself out of the slumps? Because you can be stuck down in those places for a long time, right? You can hang on to them, and your heart is heavy, your mind is heavy, and you're just in those places where, dang it, I feel stuck. How am I going to get out of this? And people can reach down to help you in the pit. People can throw ladders and ropes and want to get you out, but until you're ready to climb, you're going to get stuck down there. But you can only climb when you're able to tap into your heart and feel what you need to feel. Be honest and conscious about how am I going to actively work on releasing these things that are draining me and pulling me down. And it doesn't have to be the death of someone. It can be something rough at work. It can be money problems, health problems, just the worldwide pandemic and the fear and the anxiety that goes along with that, the divisiveness in politics and people's beliefs. It's a rough world out there right now, isn't it? Our hearts are heavy. So even if someone says, "How are you?" and you're good, our hearts are still weighed down with all of those things that are coming at us every day on the news, on Facebook, walking down the street. I was at the Mall of America with my daughter yesterday, which if you ever go to the mall with a 15-year-old girl, that's a heart exercise in itself. If you've ever been into Forever 21 when you're 45, that's also a hard heart lesson to acknowledge. And I couldn't tell you the number of people I saw scowling and scoffing both ways at people wearing masks or not wearing masks. And people would take the mask off, put the mask on. I saw it all day long. It was super crowded yesterday because it was cold as bleep here. So everyone was at the mall. And so it's like your heart is constantly being triggered, even if you're good or fine. So we really want to think clearly about, what kind of life do you want to be living? What kind of energy do you want to be putting out into the world? How do you want to show up into the spaces that you're in, whether it's the mall, whether it's at work, whether it's with your family, whether it's your friends, whether it's sitting here in a room full of like-minded, awesome humans like we are? And when you have to do that, it's really time to do a good visualization. Now, how many of you have done visualizations before? It's like a meditation, but you're kind of trying to see the future. And when so on the side, I'm a super hippie, which that's why I love coming here, because I can talk like this. Most of the time, I'm speaking for corporate America, where I can't say the word chakra, yoga, energy, or anything like that without being paid, and I kid you not, about 10% of what the fee is if I'm talking about leadership. But here's the thing, I sneak all of this in by using different words. So instead of saying crown chakra, heart chakra, solar plexus, I say your vision energy, your relationship energy, your creativity energy, things that people in the corporate world think are the buzzwords, but I'm teaching them about chakras. So today, I'm excited because I can actually use those words and I can actually talk in the terms that as a hippie on the side, I can actually, tap into for myself. So today, we're going to look at your heart energy, as I say in corporate, your relationship energy with yourself, but your heart chakra. And how can you dig in and say, okay, I want to visualize using my crown chakra, your vision energy, if you're, corporate stooge like I used to be for years. Nothing wrong with that. I loved my work back then, but I found a new path. But we're going to use our vision energy, which is an upper energy, to connect with our heart energy, which then will help us be grounded in our root chakra, I call that the motivation energy in corporate America, so we can really go after what we want and need. Our heart becomes the bridge for that upper vision, that lower grounding to really create action in your life and be able to release some of the things that are really weighing you down. Sound good? Okay. So we're going to do a quick visualization right now. We started it already when you brought that white light in on the top of your head, but we're going to go a little further now. So take another deep breath, close your eyes. We're going to hop into a time machine. We're going to hop just 5 years into the future. We're not going to go too far. 5 years into the future, you wake up that morning. Where are you waking up? Who's in bed with you? What do your sheets feel like? What are you wearing? Where in the world are you? What does your bedroom look like? And as you wake up, how do you feel? What's prompting you and driving you to get out of that bed? And as you wake up and go about your day, what are you having for breakfast? How are you fueling your body and starting your day? How do you feel physically? How's your weight? What kind of things are you putting into your body? How's your movement? Remember, we're thinking 5 years ahead. You get ready to go into your day. What are you spending your day doing? Are you going to a job? And if so, what is that job? Who are you working with? Who are you serving at that job? What tasks are you doing every day? If it's not a job you're going to, how are you spending your day? Who are you interacting with? And when you get home from that day of service, of community, of work, whatever it is that you're doing, who are you coming home to? Who's living in that home with you? What are you going to do with that free time? What are your favorite hobbies to do in 5 years? What are the things you've prioritized and said, I'm doing this with myself, with my loved ones every single day? What things fire you up and get you excited? And as you crawl into bed 5 years from now, how do you feel about the day in life you've just lived that day? What are the emotions you feel? How's your mental health as you crawl into that bed? And as you drift off to sleep, what are you excited to wake up for the next day? Take another deep breath. Open your eyes. Oh, what a vision. What a vision you just tapped into. Now, what is holding you back from that vision right now? Why aren't you there yet? What needs to align to create that vision? What needs to go away? Think about it. Really think about it. If I had you write down a list, if we were in corporate America, I would right now be having you turn to the person next to you, tell them what needs to go, write down the 3 things that you need to let go of that are holding you back from that vision. And then I'd have you turn to the other side and share with the other person in those really awkward interactions that actually force adult learners' brains to change. So there is reasons why us motivational speakers do those kinds of things. But turn to the other side and say, what needs to be welcomed into your life? What do you have to do more of to make that vision real? Because we often have the best of intentions, right? In our heart, we're like, yes, I want that 5-year goal. And then life and the roller coaster take us down from that, right? They pull our focus. We get distracted. We get triggered by the toothpaste aisle stuff. We get triggered by money. We get triggered by someone at the Mall of America. We get triggered that then pushes us into a place where we're not aligned with that path anymore. And the things that we feel in our heart that we want, pretty soon we're sucked down, we're distracted, we're squirrel mentality, we're not on that path anymore, and we're on some path that we don't even know how we ended up on there, but we've gotten sucked into other people's agendas, putting out fires, gotten thrown onto a roller coaster that the world is on, and we ride the roller coaster with everyone else. And that's not a bad thing, that's human life, right? That's the kinds of things that happen to us as human beings. But how can you step off the roller coaster when you're ready to get off the ride and take back control of that life that you want to create for yourself? And part of that, as I said already, is the letting go, the burning of the bridges, letting go, cutting of the cords to things, to people, to circumstances that don't serve that vision. So we're going to talk a little bit about cords right now. How many of you have ever done a cord cutting meditation or have heard about cords, energy cords? So throughout our lives and past lives, if you're into that, there's things that happen to us in our lives that create a connection. It could be someone that cuts you off in traffic and you're pissed and you've just created a little mini energetic flow with that person. And it may be short-lived, you may forget about them, but for a little while, they have just triggered you because they cut you off. Or maybe you were the one that cut them off. You don't even realize it, and they've just sent a cord to you that they're like, oh, what an annoying person, and the cord is coming your way and you don't even know it. So we have cords coming and going all the time. That's an example of a challenging, negative drain cord. And I use simple terms that people in corporate would understand. So I know there's way more spiritual hippie terms, but I use that language that anyone would understand if they've never heard about cords before. So that's why it's like a drain cord, like they get that. But then there's also positive cords, the ones where you've crossed paths with someone and they've left an imprint on your heart forever, or even just for the day, or just when you've needed it. I call that being a light and not a shadow. Because sometimes we forget that our actions actually are impacting others too. You're looking for support, you're looking for those awesome people and situations that'll lift you up, but you can be that light too. I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by that. So a couple weeks after my husband died, I decided to go back to work because I loved my job. I was working for a market research company in New York, but I was managing the Target account, which was our biggest retail account. And we were a international company, so it was a huge multi-million-dollar account that I was in charge of. So I had people in New York that reported to me, I had people in Minneapolis that reported to me, and we worked from home most of the time, those of us here, but we also had cubes on site at Target corporate headquarters. Anybody ever been into those buildings downtown? They used to have many high rises downtown filled with people, and that's when I used to work there. And so my cube was on a floor with several hundred people. So if you've ever seen a cube floor, you sit in a cube and you can see people walking around you. And I decided to go back to work shortly after my husband died because I wanted connection. I'm an introvert, which people can't believe, but I still felt like I needed some connection. I needed some normalcy. I wanted just something smooth sailing amidst the craziness. And I didn't know anything about self-help back then. I grew up in Montevideo, Minnesota, 2 hours west on Highway 7, where we have churches and bars. I didn't know anything about chakras or even yoga or anything like that back when my husband died. So I just wanted to go to work because it felt normal. So I go back to work 2 or 3 weeks after my husband died, thinking it was going to be this great place where I felt connection and just normal again. And I got there, and for a week or two, everyone ignored me. And I knew they felt awkward. I knew they didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say either. But I would sit there, and out of the corner of my eye, I would see people that I'd been working with for 5 years walk toward me, see that I was back at work, and turn the other way. I'd be walking down a hallway, coming towards someone that I knew, and you'd kind of make eye contact, and they would turn into the bathroom. They would turn down the next hallway. They would turn down the next row of cubes. I'd see people in the elevator that I knew, and they'd pull out their phone. They'd pull, something out of their bag, and it's like, I can tell you're not actually doing something right now. You're in the elevator. And again, I knew that it was because they felt awkward, but I also knew that I felt like shit because of it. I would sit in my cube and I would cry all day long. Like I was alone at home and I was alone at work. And then one day, 2 or 3 weeks after I went back to work, I saw this gentleman that I'd been working with for many years, and huge, giant guy, used to be a college football player, and I saw him come walking, and I hadn't seen him yet since I had been back. And I saw him walking from a distance out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, oh, please don't turn around. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, he's going to turn around, like I'm not going to. But, I was in my mind, like just craving some sort of connection. And he comes walking, and we make eye contact. And he smiles so big, and he comes busting into my cube from behind. So I'm sitting, like this, and I can kind of see him, and he comes in, he comes from behind, and he gives me a behind hug, and he said, oh, KB, he'd Kristen Brown, he'd call me KB, this just sucks. And he came around, and he looked me right in the eyes, and he was like, KB, if you need anything, please reach out. I'm here for you. This sucks. I don't know what to say, but I'm here. And he was smiling the whole time, even though I'm bawling like this. I do as I'm 14 years. I'm still crying about that story. But that was the turning point where I was like, okay, I can do this. I can go to work, and I cannot be alone because there are lights and not shadows everywhere. And man, I think about that guy every day. Every day. He doesn't know that I tell that story on stage. But I think about him every day. He was a light and not a shadow. And that is what I want you to really think about. When we're on this roller coaster, when we're in those pit areas, we can become really sad, but we can also become shadows. And that's okay too. But how can you remember that there are people around you hurting as well? And when you reach out to someone like that to be a light, it fills you up with so much light too. You're literally, scientifically, physically, I'm a huge science nerd. I went to the International Science Fair in high school, so I'm a big researcher. But your body literally fills up with endorphins, serotonin, dopamine when you do things like that. When you reach out to others, when you make those connections, you are absolutely just flooded with awesome energy. And obviously, you're gonna make the other person feel great too. So you've just created like this awesome positive bubble of wonderfulness on the planet that is going to be a ripple effect for both of you, because you're both going to be put into a better mood. You're going to treat everyone around you in a more positive way throughout that day and throughout the future. And I mean, every day, literally every day, I think about that guy, and he reminds me that I need to be that light and not a shadow. Does that mean I'm not sometimes like a raging bee? Of course not. I mean, I am an introvert, and so sometimes I get triggered by other human beings. But I can pretty quickly course correct and say, okay, I know that I'm just being triggered. I know that I'm just on a low point on the roller coaster. What do I got to do right now to be that light and not a shadow? Because that will fill your heart energy with just the positive vibes that you need to push it out to the world. It changes the way that you carry yourself. Because when you're in that stressed out, sad, cranky, low energy type of a place, your body does this, right? Your body language closes. What does your face do? Bee resting face, cranky resting face, right? And that's actually a biological response to stress. So animals, any kind of animal that has a stress response, mammals, when they're triggered, when there's some sort of stress, they actually close their body language to protect their genitals so that they can still procreate. So it's an actual evolutionary response when you're stressed to close down your body language. Your face, of course, you're crabby, you're triggered, you're sad. It's hard to get out of that into a happy place, right? But your body and your brain don't know the difference between a fake smile and a real smile. Your body and your brain think, because it feels the muscles move and the nerve pathways that it takes to make that smile. Oh, we're smiling now. I guess that means I should shoot out some feel-good chemicals. Oh, now we're really smiling. So we're going to do a quick little exercise that is one of those exercises that will make your butt clench at first. Not all of you, because we're in a room of hippies, right? But it's one of those exercises where you might be like, oh God, and your butt, I don't want to do that. But it's an exercise I do with every corporate group. I've done this with groups of cops. I've done it with groups of turbine repair union guys. I've done it with kids. I've done it with CEOs. I do it with almost every group because it's the fastest way to flood your body and your heart with those feel-good endorphin, serotonin, dopamine, okay? So let's be open-minded, release the butt cheeks. We're going to do just a quick term of laughter yoga. Who's done your laughter yoga? I knew a few people in here would have. So what do you do in laughter yoga? Yeah, you just laugh. It's literally just laughing. Is there anyone in here who doesn't know how to laugh? Now, there are times we kind of feel like we don't want to laugh, right? When you're in the pit, there are times where you don't feel like laughing. But we're going to do a little laughter yoga so that you can feel how it feels to be fake laughing and smiling and how it shifts to real immediately, okay? Open mind, open butt. Take a breath. Now, here are the rules to laughter yoga. First, you have to laugh out loud. So none of this, none of that. It's audible, okay? Audible. If you want to put your mask on, if you want to, if you're uncomfortable having people laughing around you, feel free to put your mask on. But we're going to laugh out loud as you can. Second, if you can, try to move with it. Try to be physical. You don't have to get up and run around the room, but, get down, get into it. And, oh my gosh, we would always in high school, we had this dumb thing. We would say, oh, it's such a knee slapper, and we'd hit our elbow. How dumb. But when you're a kid, you think stupid things are funny, right? So really get some movement into it. And third, as long as I'm doing this, you're going to keep laughing. And it's going to start fake. You're going to be like, this is so stupid. But just keep going. Just keep pushing it out. Keep going, okay? Stand up. Oh, now I got to stand up. That's because it releases the butt when you have to stand up. All right, on the count of 3, you're just going to laugh. You're just going to laugh out loud with the rules I just set in motion, and you're going to keep going as long as I'm doing this. 1, 2, 3, go. I I see you back there. Look at each other, make it awkward. Keep going, keep going. Knee slapper, come on. Keep going, keep on going, come on. Keep going, come on. Yes, 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 yes. Wow, you're still laughing, and I wasn't doing this for a little while. Because what just happened is you started fake, right? You're just like, okay, I'll do it. And you were kind of amused, or maybe you thought we looked dumb, or I looked dumb, or you thought the exercise was dumb. But it doesn't matter, because humans love to see other humans looking dumb, so it all worked. But what happened is it started fake, and because of the brain patterns and the nerve patterns that your body knows mean, oh, let's be happy now, you started laughing and smiling for real. It doesn't matter why you were laughing or smiling, whether it was out of us looking dumb or because you were just truly amused or whatever. You just flooded your body with endorphins, with serotonin, with dopamine. And it isn't just going to last for this little, minute that we were doing it. It's a buzz. You literally just gave yourself a buzz that will last for a while today. I actually have a program I do in corporate America called the Happy Hour Effect. And we do laughter yoga in there, and it's all about how can you tap into those elements of your body, brain, and spirit that aren't about drinking. It's about how do you shift your body and mind, and we just did that. So take a seat. Thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause. You know when you clap, you're activating little chakra points in your hands. You're activating good energy. Rub them together, rub them together. Imagine some green light in between them. Okay, put it right over your heart. Feel that green light going right into your heart. Deep breath. Feel it going in. Woo! Okay, so endorphins, you're filled with all that feel good. Now, we've gotten you all set up for feeling what it feels like to have a really good, awesome heart space. But what about those chords? What about those chords I was talking about? How do you karate chop those away? We're going to do a quick little cord cutting meditation now. And if you've done one before, there's tons of ways to do it. The way I like to do it is also sort of visual, because some people really struggle with more quiet meditations because they think they need to clear their mind, and I am not a meditation teacher that teaches that. Meditation for me is about, how do you allow the thoughts to come and not let them trigger you? Let them go. Oh, there comes another thought. I'm not going to get triggered and let it go. And some days I'm super triggered, and some days I can just let them go. But it's not about clearing the mind. So that's why I like visualizations, because it keeps your mind moving on the track rather than when it's more silent and you can get distracted. So that's just a tip for you. If you try to meditate and you're like, I can't do it, everyone can do it. There's no right or wrong way. You just have to find the type that works for you. And I love Insight Timer app. That's what I use personally, but there's Calm, there's Headspace. We all know that, but I highly recommend, if you like this cord cutting exercise we're about to do, go find one that you love online and just really think about how do you want to cut these cords in a deeper, longer way on a regular basis. Because every day we're getting cords that we're sending out and cords that come to us. We have really thick cords that might have been there for a long time. We have really deep ones that are hard to cut away with roots that, they're everywhere in you. But it's okay. You can really start to work on how do you remove some of those blocks and cords that are holding you back. So we're going to do just a quick cord cutting meditation right now so that you can feel what that's like. So take another deep breath. Close your eyes. We had that visualization earlier about the future that you want to create in 5 years. And I asked you what some of those things are that are preventing you and holding you back from that now. And oftentimes those things are energetic cords to people, to circumstances, to situations that you aren't able to let go of. So I want you to just think about one or two of those right now. You may have several, but I want you to think about one or two things that are holding you back right now that you know you need to release to create that vision for your future. Now, as you think about those things that are holding you back, imagine tracing them back to the very beginning of when they started. So rewind. Was it yesterday? Was it 10 years ago? But what was the seed, the very root of that situation or thing that's holding you back? Now, what does that root look like? What does that little seed look like that creates that connection to now? How thick is it? What color is it? What material is it? Now, right there at that seed, at that root of that thing holding you back, we're going to take that green heart light and we're just going to shine it like a magnifying glass right through that little seed, through that little root. And just imagine it, just zapping it, dissolving it. And as it dissolves, you can see that longer cord that's attaching to now, slowly from that root, just disappearing, dissolving, zapping away. And here it comes, it's getting closer to today, where it's connected to your heart. Feel that green light, that zapping is going into your heart now, where that thing is rooted on the other end. And zap those little tendrils that are in you now. And that cord, you just whisked it away. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes those little cords can grow back. Sometimes those little seeds, those little roots, there's a little microscopic piece in there that you don't know is in there still. But you got rid of that cord, those couple of cords for now. I want you to think of another thing that's holding you back. I want you to take a sword, just a big sword. If you're into archangels, maybe it's, Michael's sword. Maybe it's sword from Game of Thrones. That's the swords I like. But imagine yourself holding a sword and you're just slicing through that cord to that thing that's holding you back. And as you slice it, both ends just they just suck right back into where they came from and they disappear. You vaporized them. And now think of one more thing that's holding you back. I want you to imagine you're standing on the side of a pond and there's a wooden raft there. And you take that thing, that emotion, that person, that situation, you toss it onto that raft. Take your foot, you push that raft out into the middle of the pond. It's floating away, right out there in the middle. And then that green light from your heart, magnifying glass again, just start that damn raft on fire. Start it on fire, and everything on that raft burns down to ashes. The ashes that are left, the water swirls it away. Maybe a little residue is left, it absorbs into the sand. Maybe the wind whisks a little bit away. But poof, that one's gone now too. All right, open your eyes back up. Those are just a couple ways that you can cut cords at any time in your life. Whether you have a rough meeting with someone at work and they're triggering you, whether it's the toothpaste aisle, whether it's something bigger from your childhood, addiction, abuse. Those things have deep roots, so you can cut those cords, you can vaporize them in lots of different ways over time to help you stay on track, to stay on the path with that vision you have for your whole life. Because that roller coaster ride's hard. It's hard, and our hearts will be heavy sometimes, our lives will feel heavy. But you really do have control. You already have everything that you need inside of you to create that life you want, to move forward how you want, to be that light and not a shadow, to pull yourself out of the slumps that you find yourself in with just a little self-awareness of your heart, what you truly want, what's holding you back, what you need to welcome in to create that vision that you want for yourself. So let's take one more deep breath. Green light, everybody's already got it in their hearts. Now we want to shine it out on everyone around us. So just imagine that light right now. Keep your eyes open, look around you, and just aim some of that green light at everyone in this room. And then all of us just shoot it out of this room, out into the world, to be that light and not that shadow. All right, well, that is our time. But I want you to, when you leave here, really think about that vision. What do you need to welcome in? What do you need to let go of? And how can you tap into that green light anytime you need? I use crystals. That's what are often my anchors. I do those cord cuttings all the time. I listen to meditations every single day. I go to the woods to really help to create that bridge to what I need, whether it's bridging to my vision, whether it's bridging to releasing the cords and cutting the cords. You've got that power inside of you already. So thank you for being here. Have a wonderful Sunday, wonderful Super Bowl. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, wow. So I was sharing this with Kristen earlier and with Gary up top there. When I got here, my heart was racing. And so it wasn't because I was rushing. I wasn't sure what was going on. Sometimes it happens when I am dehydrated. But look at the synchronicity. What were we doing all day? Working on the heart. And so it hasn't been happening as much as it was when I first came. So thank you for that. All right. So Lake Harriet Spiritual Community is funded solely by your donations. That's our only source of income, and it helps us keep the lights on and helps us to continue to bring speakers to inspire. So now is the time for a donation. Give what you can. We really appreciate your support. Thank you, Gary. Really appropriate song. So if you will all repeat after me and help bless the offering. God's perfect love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. And so it is. Well, as our tradition is to circle up around the sanctuary, I think maybe just the middle section and that section. So if we can circle up, and if you feel comfortable holding hands, do so.
Okay.
And then Kristen will lead us in a closing.
Okay.
All right, so right in the middle here.
My hands are so cold. Stretch. All right. What an awesome day we are blessed to have here at Lake Carrot Spiritual Community. Close your eyes. Remember, we felt that green light all day. We're going to just squeeze hands and feel that green light floating from person to person, pulsing from person to person. All that positive heart energy. Yes. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Bless all of us, bless your hearts in the happy way, not in the southern way. And think about how you can go out there, be that light, not a shadow. Throw that green light and heart energy out into the world and have an awesome, wonderful day and week. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.